Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to a tutorial on how to create a health system for your game. Now this health system is going to work for your players and for your enemies. And we can create a whole setup to display this health using this health system. So on this tutorial, we're going to make a component and how to make that component manage your health and your enemy's healths. The first thing you're going to want to do is create a new folder, and we can call this health system, and you can keep everything inside of this folder. And inside of the health system folder, we're going to create a blueprint class. Click here and then click on actor component. This is going to be the health component. So inside of the component now we have the event graph that you're used to seeing, and inside of the event graph we can code any functionality that we want to be self-contained within this component. Now components, they exist inside of other blueprints, so you can attach this component to any other blueprint that you want, and it is going to work in a modularized manner. So we're going to get started by just creating a function here called initialize component. And this function is going to be responsible for setting your initial health and everything else we might need. Now we're also going to be creating a couple of variables here. One of them is going to be called max health. This is the one that you're going to be able to change, so we're going to click here as well. And we are going to change the category over here to become editable. I've just changed the name of it so we can properly organize, right? So you can just type in editable or just change to another category that makes sense to you. So max health, let's make a new variable here called current health. This is a internal value that we're only going to change inside of the health component. So it's not going to go in the same area as the editables. So let's call this internal. And the initialize component function is going to first get the max health. So we're going to drag this variable here right over there and then click get. Or if you want, you can just click and then hold the control key and then drag and drop over here. And we're going to set the current health by, I can click and hold to drag and then press Alt and just drop it over here. And this is automatically going to set. And we're going to set the current health as the max health. So this basically resets your health regardless at the very beginning, right? So we can't forget to also call this function at begin play. So we drag the begin play here, we initialize this component. Okay, so now that the health component is being initialized, we need to deal with taking damage. So let's right click here and type in custom event. And on this custom event, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be renaming this to a receive damage event. Now on this receive damage event, this can be called from anyone, right? So for example, let's say that an enemy hits you. The enemy is going to call this function receive damage inside of your health component on this case. So what we're going to be doing is we also need the information of how much damage you're taking. So click on the custom event, and on the right here you have the input section. Now you can click on the plus, and then you have a float. So this is your type of variable. You can just click here and then click on float. Now let's rename this to damage. Compile and save, bring this down a little bit, and now we're going to take your current health and we're going to do a minus, subtract, and we're going to subtract your current health from this damage. Now there's something really important that we need to do here. Your health should never be lower than 0. So we're going to clamp this value, so clamp float. Clamping basically holds the value. So if this value was supposed to go like, if this value gets less than 0 on this case, it is just going to pluck this at a minimum of 0 on this side, right? So it receives a value that can be anything, and it returns either 0 or 1, right, or anything in between. So it cuts any excess. So with this, we can guarantee that our health is never going to go below 0. So the max value needs to be your max health. So just drag this into here. And you see that this is not aligned properly. So if you want to align these two, you can just click on this guy, then click on this guy and press Q, and it's going to align these two. So now we're going to set current health like this. So what you can do now as well is you can type in if this is less or equal. I always like to do the less because technically we can just do equal 0 because of the clamp. But just to be safe, I don't know, I just like to do minus or equal, right? So if this is less or equal than 0, it means that the character has died, correct? So now we're going to work with another aspect that makes components really powerful. We can create an event dispatcher by just clicking here. Now, what is an event dispatcher? Think of it as like a signal that comes out of your component. So when you want your component to signal anything that happened to it, it can just call in an event dispatcher, right? So taking a look at an example here, let's just call this one def. So this means that this component, or better yet, let's just call this health depleted, right? Because this just means that your health is equal to 0. So if you just drag in the event dispatcher here, you can click on call, and this is going to call this dispatcher. So anyone can be subscribed to this event dispatcher, and when this event is called, everyone is notified, right? So think of it as like a signaling system inside of your component. So we can click on compile. So if I click on this character here, this is just an NPC on the scene. It can be a player, but on this case, I just have this as an NPC that I can shoot at, right? So if you just click on this character and you open the blueprint from this character, right? So this would be your character, this would be your enemies. So what you can do is you can click on add right here. And by clicking on add, we can add a new component to this actor. So right here, we can find our health component. So this is the health component we just created. And there we go. Now we have a health component on this character. Now we need a way to deal damage to this health component. So we can do it in a couple of ways. And most likely, you just need to trace to detect the character in front of you. On our case, though, I'm going to create inside of the projectile. So we have the projectile, which is this thing here. It is going to hit something, right? So this event hit fires, or it should fire. Let me just print here so we can properly see if this is firing. Okay, so in order to properly detect collisions with the enemy, we gotta come over here to the projectile, collision component, and then on the pawn here, we can just do this. But this is just a way for the projectile to hit the character. But don't you worry, I'm going to do a regular trace to detect damage in just a little bit. So, for example, we can just do this, right? And we can detect hits on this character. So now that we are detecting a hit, we have this other. This is another actor. So what we can do here, I'm just going to show you another trick of organizing your code. Basically, if we drag this down here, you can just drag it over here and then type in sequence. This organizes your code better. And then, for example, you can just hold down Control and then click and drag to this side. Now, what does this do? Well, this is an execution pin, right? So it's going to first do whatever it's over here on the 0, and then whatever is over here. And if you want to do more actions, you can just click over here on this plus, and this is going to do a bunch of different actions. So this is a very good way of just organizing your blueprints. So now with this sequence, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down like this. And we have this area up here. So this other actor, I'm just going to do a get component by class. This is going to look for if this actor has a health component, then we're going to do the function to deal damage, right? So we're going to get component by class. We're going to say that we want a health component. And if this health component is valid, meaning that it does exist inside of this actor, then we are going to deal receive damage on this. So here we can just receive a value of damage. So let's just deal 15 damage per shot. Now if I double click this function, we go back to the component. Now I'm just going to print this value of damage here, and now we can just let me just do this and do this. So right now we are printing the damage that we're dealing to this guy, right? So we're going to be able to see how much damage we're dealing. So this is basically going to be the character's health going down. Now if we go back here and we play the game, we're going to deal damage, although it's returning a 0. Let me just check why that is. Oh, I remembered. We need to set max health as something more than 0, right? Because when I created the max health value, we didn't change the default value from it, right? So let's make the default value as 100. So you can click on the max health inside of your health component and then type in 100 to change the default value. Now the good news about this thing is that you can come over on your character. If you want your character in specific to have more health than normal or less health, this is completely up to you. If you click on your health component, you can come over here to max health and you can change this value to anything you want. Let's just leave this at 100 and let's grab the gun again. Yeah, so you see that the value over there is decreasing. So this means that the character is taking damage. Now how can we make the character be destroyed when the health goes to 0? Basically, we are going to come over to the third person character, the character that we just implemented the health component. And we can click on the health component, then we can come over here to health depleted. Now you see that this is on a category called events. So this health depleted is the dispatcher we just created here. So this is an event dispatcher. And if we come over to the health component, there we have it. So you see that there's this plus icon here. If we click here, this is going to fire when the health is equal to 0. So here we can do anything we want, any animations or death animations, like anything you have on your character when the character dies can become a part of this execution pin here. For now, let's just leave this as destroy actor. Now we're just destroying this actor when the health comes to 0. So if we try this again and I just shoot this guy a bunch of times, you see that the actor was destroyed when it reached 0. So you see how this can be very powerful when you have a component that can be applied to any actor you want. For example, if we were to come over here to the world settings, let me just get the first person character. Now this is the main character, right? It is the first person character. So we can also add a health component to the first person character. So this is our character, right? So we can also, on the health depleted, you can come over here and type in open level by name and then get current level name. So this basically resets your map no matter what map you have. So this is just going to reload the map when you die. So we can take damage as the player. Okay, so in order to take damage as a player, I'm going to create a damage zone. Now a damage zone is pretty much an area that we're going to have a collision, and when this collision collides with the player, it is going to deal damage. So I'm just going to right click on the folder that we have our health component, and I'm going to create a new blueprint of type actor. So you just click here on actor, and let's call this damage zone. Now we have a damage zone here. We can just drag this guy right over here, double click on the damage zone, and add a collision, a box collision. Wait, hang on. Just click here and add a box collision like this. And let's just make this guy bigger. And come over here on the line thickness on the right and just have it as, I don't know, like 15. Okay, so another thing that we should do is there is an option here called hidden in game. So just type in hidden up here and then just turn this guy off because I want to see the actual damage zone as I hit play on the game. I need to see the area that I'm going to take damage. So this would be it, right? So the damage zone is here now. And what I think we could do is, if you click on the collision, you can come down here, and there is a lot of event dispatchers that already come with this guy. So you can click on this on component begin overlap, and this is going to fire every time that the player gets in contact with this guy. So on the other actor, I'm just printing the name of the actor that just collided with this guy, right? So it's the BP first person character. But you see how this thing only fires when I just enter. But if I stay in here, I'm going to not take more damage, right? I just take damage once. I don't want that. So I'm going to show you a way that you can do this pretty much anywhere you want, right? So normally when you apply damage to a character, you would do some sort of a trace, right? You would trace how to, you would basically trace to see if you can detect the character that you want to hit. So on this case, what we're going to be doing is on the event tick, we're going to come over to class defaults, and there should be an option here called tick interval in seconds. So just click on the tick interval and type in 1 and then hit enter. This is going to make it so that this component only ticks once a second. So if I type in hello here and I hit play, yeah, you see that it only ticks once a second. So now that we have this, we are going to click on the box, drag it over here, and then hold Control. And now we're going to do a get scaled box extent. This is going to get the actual size of your box, no matter if you change the scale of it. It is going to get the actual size of the box as it is scaled. So what you can do now is you can box trace for objects. This is going to do a box trace to detect for any collisions. So we're going to drag out of this box, get world location. This is going to get the world location of this guy, so come over here and put that on the start and put that on the end. Now for the half size, we are going to get the scaled box extent and just do this. And for the orientation, just do a get world rotation. And this is going to get the world rotation of this box. Then just drag this over here. And for the object types, let's just search for pawns. So just pawns. And let's just draw a debug line. So click on draw debug type for duration. And let's have the trace color be like a pink so we can properly see that. Now click on the box again and then click on the hidden in-game and mark that again because I want to see the actual trace, right? So play the game again and you can see that no matter the size of the box, it is going to trace exactly the size of that box. Now if I stand here, you see that the line is turning green. This means that it is detecting collisions against the character. So what we can do is we can just come over here on the out hit and then type in break hit result. This is going to break all of the different things that we got from that hit. And on the hit actor, we're going to get component by class. So this is the regular workflow that you do. If you have, for example, a combat system and on your combat system you have a trace, right? You will get the actor, get component by class, and then get in your health component. Check if your health component is valid. And if your health component is valid, then we are going to receive damage like this. Now let's see, let's take maybe 20 damage or maybe even like 25 because then it's going to be a total of 4 seconds until the character is dead. So now we can just move over here and you see we started taking damage on the top left, and after the character dies the map reloads and you see that we're back at the start. I can kill this guy, boom, and now we can stand on the damage area and it slowly kills us and the map reloads. Now we did have some errors on here. Let's just take a look. This is a problem with the damage zone. Oh, so we need to check if this is a blocking hit, basically meaning if it hits something, right? So I think it would be better to just connect over here. So this means that it hits something. So just hold down B and click anywhere, and this is going to create a branch. So you can just do this, and you can connect this over here. Bring this down here to be aligned. Align these guys, and then bring these guys like this. So right now it is going to check and only get the component of the actor if there was a hit. So if we hit compile and save, now we shouldn't see this issue again. So yep, everything is good now. So that's it for how to create a health component and how to handle health in a more modularized and more clean manner. If you like this video, press like and subscribe for more tutorials like this.